Lesson 13. The Triumph of God's Love. Memory text. And I heard a loud voice from heaven saying, Behold, the tabernacle of God is with men, and he will dwell with them, and they shall be his people. God himself will be with them, and be their God, and God will wipe away every tear from their eyes. There shall be no more death, nor sorrow, nor crying. There shall be no more pain, for the former things have passed away. Revelation chapter 21, verses 3 and 4. Despite the tough times ahead, no matter the struggles we face, the obstacles we overcome, or the sadness we feel, having hope for Jesus' coming allows us to find meaning and happiness in our lives today. Facing tough times in the past often feels like navigating a stormy sea, with waves of challenges threatening to overwhelm. Yet, amid the turbulence, holding on to future hope in Jesus becomes our anchor. After the darkest night of tribulation, dawn will break, bringing new opportunities and brighter days. This hope fuels resilience, empowering us to endure hardships and keep moving forward, confident that perseverance will eventually lead to the promise of heaven and the New Jerusalem.
Hope in the time of trouble. In Revelation chapter 22 verses 11 to 12, Daniel chapter 12 verses 1 to 2, and Jeremiah chapter 30 verses 5 to 7, several events are prophesied to occur just before the second advent of Christ. A clear divide between the righteous and the wicked, an urgent message of Christ's soon return with judgment and recompense. A time of extreme fear and suffering, often depicted with imagery of labor pains and widespread terror. A period of unprecedented trouble and distress, often termed the Great Tribulation. The rise of Michael the Archangel, signifying divine intervention and the protection of God's people. Despite the intense tribulation, there is a promise of deliverance for God's people. Studying 1 John chapter 3 verses 1 to 3, John chapter 8 verse 29, and John chapter 14 verse 30, shows that preparing for tough times is about our connection with God. This connection is defined by being His children, seeking purity, following His instructions, and living righteously. Being spiritually prepared ensures we are in harmony with God and ready for challenges. The passages from Psalms 27, verse 5, Psalms 91, 1-11, and Revelation chapter 3, verses 10-12, offer profound promises of God's protection. God will keep us safe and secure in His presence, providing shelter and elevation above troubles. In the face of terror, disease, and calamity, we will remain unharmed and fearless. Angels will be commanded to guard us in all our ways. God will preserve us during times of global trial and testing. Our endurance will be rewarded with a crown, and we will be recognized as pillars in God's temple, permanently dwelling in His presence. We will bear God's name, signifying our eternal belonging and identity in Him. These promises provide profound assurance of God's unwavering protection, presence, and ultimate deliverance for those who trust in Him during times of trouble.
Hope in Jesus' soon return. The verses in John chapter 14 verses 1-3 and Titus chapter 2 verses 11-14 serve as a strong source of encouragement for believers. They point to the promise of Jesus' return and the assurance of a place in God's eternal home. God's grace is powerful, offering salvation and strength. The hope of Christ's return gives us strength to endure present difficulties. Our redemption is secure, and we are called to live in righteousness. In the face of challenges and trials, these verses provide a foundation of hope, peace, and purpose, urging believers to stand firm in their faith. The passages from Revelation, chapter 6 verses 15 to 17 and Isaiah, chapter 25 verses 8 to 9 present a stark contrast between the attitudes of the saved and the lost in the end times. They are completely opposite when it comes to their relationship with God, their understanding of His character, their faith and reliance on Him, and their eternal outlook. Those who are saved, firmly rooted in their faith and trust in God, approach the future with a sense of happiness and assurance. On the other hand, the lost, having turned away from this connection, confront it with feelings of fear and hopelessness. The passages Revelation chapter 15 verses 3 to 4 and Revelation chapter 19 verse 7 provide a glimpse into the response of the redeemed to the salvation provided through Christ. They express their gratitude and admiration through songs of praise, worshiping God for His mighty deeds, justice, and truth. They show deep reverence and awe for God's holiness and righteousness, seeking to glorify His name. They anticipate and celebrate the universal recognition and worship of God by all nations. They rejoice in the ultimate union with Christ, symbolized by the wedding of the Lamb, and celebrate the fulfillment of God's redemptive plan. The passages from Revelation chapter 12 verse 17, Revelation chapter 17 verses 13 to 14, and Revelation chapter 19 verses 11 to 16 provide a narrative progression that depicts the increasing conflict leading to Earth's last war. The conflict begins with Satan's attack on the faithful believers, highlighting the ongoing spiritual warfare between good and evil. Earthly powers unite under the beast to wage war against Christ, representing a concentrated effort of evil forces against Him. Despite the opposition, Christ's victory is assured because of His supreme authority. The final battle sees Christ decisively defeating all evil forces, establishing His reign as the sovereign King.
The Millennium on Earth. From Revelation chapter 20 verses 1 to 3, Satan's fate when Jesus returns is as follows. An angel descends from heaven with the key to the abyss and a great chain. The angel seizes Satan, binds him, and throws him into the abyss. The abyss is locked and sealed to prevent Satan from deceiving the nations for 1,000 years. After the 1,000 years, Satan will be released for a short time. It's important to understand that Satan will not be literally bound with a physical chain and locked in a pit. Instead, he is metaphorically confined to this desolate and depopulated earth for a period of 1,000 years. This confinement is a result of the circumstances that he himself has brought upon. In 2 Peter chapter 2 verse 4, it is mentioned that Satan and his angels were reserved for punishment by chains of darkness. This means that Satan will be restricted to the earth by a chain of circumstances, where he will have no one to tempt. During this time, he will witness the devastating consequences of his rebellion, including destruction and disaster. The term bottomless pit in Greek is translated as abyss, also used in the Greek translation of the Old Testament, the Septuagint, to describe the earth's chaotic state during creation. The bottomless pit symbolizes Satan's work, sin, and destruction, causing the earth to return to a dark and disorganized state like its initial creation. In Jeremiah chapter 4 verses 23 to 26 and chapter 25 verse 23, we have a vivid description at the Lord's judgment. The earth is described as formless and empty, reminiscent of the primeval chaos before creation. The heavens have no light, indicating a profound darkness. Mountains are quaking and hills are swaying, suggesting a catastrophic natural upheaval. There are no people, and birds have flown away, indicating the absence of life. The fruitful land has become a desert, and towns lie in ruins, demonstrating complete destruction due to the Lord's fierce anger. The slain are numerous, covering the earth from one end to the other. There is no mourning, gathering, or burial for the dead. They are left lying on the ground like dung. God tackles the problem of sin in a way that guarantees its complete elimination. First and foremost, He reveals His infinite love, intense desire, and unwavering efforts to save all of humanity. Secondly, He reveals His fairness, impartiality, and moral righteousness. Lastly, He allows the entire universe to witness the ultimate outcomes of sin and rebellion.
Judgment in the Millennium. In the future, righteous individuals will have the chance to witness God's justice and love in resolving the problem of sin. We all have many questions we would like to ask God about different topics, but during the Millennium, the redeemed will have the privilege of asking those questions in the heavenly realm. If a loved one is not in heaven, the saved will understand God's choices better. They will realize the efforts God made to save everyone. They will recognize that those who missed out on heaven's joy was due to their own personal rejection of Christ. Only then does God carry out the final judgment, the second death, which means eternal destruction for the lost souls. For 1,000 years, Satan and his angels have been isolated, reflecting on the consequences of sin. Now, as the millennium ends, the wicked are resurrected to face judgment and punishment. Satan leads a large group of followers, finding comfort in their numbers despite past defeats. He plans to deceive nations and inspire them to overthrow God and establish their own rule. Gog and Magog symbolize Satan and all unsaved individuals throughout history. They surround the camp of the saints and the beloved city, the New Jerusalem, after it descends from heaven to earth. As the 1,000 years come to an end, the city descends to earth with God, Jesus, angels, and the redeemed. Everyone gathers for the final battle against sin, which is on the brink of being eradicated. The timing of the final judgment reveals God's patience, justice, sovereignty, hope-giving nature, righteousness, and faithfulness. It underscores a balance between His mercy and justice, providing a comprehensive picture of His character as both loving and just.
2 eternities. The Bible collectively indicates that the wicked are raised to life again to face judgment. They will be judged for their actions and receive the appropriate consequences. The final judgment serves to uphold God's justice, where each individual, regardless of their status, will acknowledge God's authority and be judged fairly based on their deeds. The ultimate fate for the wicked, as described in Revelation chapter 20 verses 11 to 15, is to be cast into the lake of fire if their names are not found in the book of life. It is imperative for God to permanently resolve the issue of sin to prevent the occurrence of evil in the future. It is essential for everyone to be fully convinced of God's fairness as a judge. Ultimately, all individuals will acknowledge God's fairness in every aspect of the battle between good and evil. Even Satan and his evil angels will submit and admit that they had no justification for opposing God. Satan, along with his evil angels, will face destruction in the lake of fire. Sin and sinners will be consumed by the flames. According to Revelation chapter 20, verses 9 and 10, they will experience torment day and night for eternity. However, this does not imply that they will burn endlessly. The phrase, forever and ever, signifies a never-ending duration, but only until the task is completed. Therefore, when the lost are consumed, they will not be able to return to life. Their destruction will be final, without perpetual burning. Ultimately, there are two eternal destinies that await each one of us. Sadly, those who are lost will receive the consequences they have earned, which is eternal death. So, why is it that our only chance of escaping the fate we deserve, which is death, lies in placing our trust in the righteousness of Jesus? To avoid eternal death, we must trust in Jesus' righteousness. He alone provides salvation, as our efforts fall short. Through his sacrifice and resurrection, we receive forgiveness and the promise of eternal life. Trusting in Jesus means relying on his righteousness and accepting the gift of eternal life through faith.
Thank you for studying with us. We hope you give this video a like and please subscribe. And always keep the faith of Jesus.